Hello everyone and welcome back to the Library of the Weird. As you may have noticed from the title of this video, I have something really special for you today and I'm really excited about this. In the first part of this video, I'm going to do a brief review of Junji Ito's Uzumaki. And then in the second part of the video, I'm going to unbox this secret lair of Magic the Gathering cards. Magic the Gathering is, besides books, a huge hobby of mine. I have, I believe, thousands of cards. I play online, I play in person, and when Wizards of the Coast said there's going to be magic cards with artwork by Junji Ito, I really had to buy this. I really had to buy those, of course. So for those of you who have no idea what Magic the Gathering is, before the second part of the video, I'm going to do a brief rules breakdown of the game, but I'm linking other videos of people who can explain this way better than I do. I hope you stay for my unboxing of these cards, but if you don't want to, just close the video. And for those who maybe stumbled upon this video because of the Magic the Gathering and the title, I hope you're watching the first part of the video where I'm reviewing the work of Junji Ito. But if you don't want to, you can skip forward to the unboxing of the secret lair. So let's talk a bit about Junji Ito and his manga Uzumaki. Junji Ito is from Japan. He was born in the 60s, I believe. And he released his first manga stories in the 80s. Uzumaki was released from 1998 to 1999. And the book I have here is kind of the omnibus edition, where all of Uzumaki is contained. And Junji Ito has a kind of cult following. I think he's the most famous horror mangaka. Countless of his stories have been adapted to anime or to movies. There's been a series, I believe it's called something like Japanese Weird Tales or Japanese Folk Tales or something like that on Netflix right now. It was released I believe in January this year. I only watched the first 3 or 4 episodes. I think it's 8 or 10 in total, but I'm really liking it so far. And what makes Junji Ito kind of famous is that his stories have a really Lovecraftian feel. Uzumaki, for example, feels a lot like weird horror, weird stories, but then there's others, Remina, for example, where he's really diving into the cosmic horror part of horror. And while he uses violence and gore, but not as much as you expect from other manga, like if you read traditional shonen manga like One Piece or Naruto, there's a lot of violence in there, and not so much in here. I mean, there's some pretty dark and pretty gruesome panels in here, but most of it is psychological. And Uzumaki, in case you didn't know, if you watched Naruto, you probably know Uzumaki means spiral. Every time you see Naruto, you see a lot of spirals on him. He has some on his jacket. He has them on his face. He eats Uzumaki rolls, which are, I believe, some kind of sushi. And then he has this big spiral on his belly. so spirals everywhere. And you may ask, how can spirals be scary? Like, this is supposed to be a horror book and not some kind of weird geometry book. And I thought this at first too. Like, I couldn't really believe how does Junji Ito succeed in making me scared of spirals. But he finds really, really inventive ways where he uses things that have a spiral pattern, or like really, really scary things I won't be showing here. I will showing a few panels in just a second, but not the most brutal ones. So what is Uzumaki about? We're following mostly Kiri, who is a youth from a city called Kurozucho. I'm really sorry if I'm butchering these words and names. I don't know any Japanese besides a few words, but I don't know how things are pronounced. So I'm really, really sorry with that. For that, I hope you can bear this. And yeah, Kiri and her boyfriend Shuichi are mostly the main protagonists of the story. The city gets kind of haunted by spiral patterns. In the beginning, it's really, really subtle, but there's really scary shit in here. I mean, there's people turning into snails, which you see here, I hope, which looks a bit funny, but it takes a really, really scary turn. And I mean, snails have spiral patterns. And this, in the beginning, you don't feel like there's, like maybe the spiral is the overarching theme of the stories. They feel more like one-shots, what's kind of the word for short stories in manga. But yeah, you kind of see a pattern, and yes, pun intended. And it's getting really scary. And especially Shuichi, his parents die in the beginning of the book. And because of this spiral pattern anomaly thing, and he becomes more and more haunted. He really becomes like a sort of an outcast from society because he doesn't want to talk to anyone anymore besides Kiri, his girlfriend. And yeah, Kiri is the one who's seeing all the shit going on, all the spiral stuff. And then in some panels you really see how scared and haunted the people are. Like, for example, in here you really can see how scared Kiri is. And yeah, much of the horror just comes from the atmosphere, but yeah, there's really explicit stuff in here. I recommend you check this out. Just for your information, if you haven't read any manga, any traditional manga, this book is read from back to front, from the Western viewpoint and from right to left. And most of the panels are in black and white. I really, really did enjoy this. And now let's go on to the Magic the Gathering part of this video. So if you don't know anything about Magic the Gathering, I'm shortly explaining what it is and maybe the ground rules. It's a really, really complex game, so I won't be covering all the rules. I think no one could cover all the rules in one video. I'm going to show you cards right here, I believe, or in front of me, so that you hopefully understand better what I'm saying. Because I've been playing for years and most of it is like self-explanatory to me. So Magic the Gathering is a card game which was created in the beginning of the 90s. a trading card game. Mostly you buy booster packs and you get cards of different rarities. So basically the most important part of Magic the Gathering is that there's different card types that you can cast with mana that you can generate from lands you're playing. You're allowed to play one land per turn, and one land usually taps for tapping means you're turning the card sideways, which kind of means you've activated the card, and one land can generate you 1 mana. And there's 5 colors of mana, which kind of is the flavor of the cards. In this Junji Ito Secret Lair, all the cards are black. Then there's green, red, white, and blue. Blue is kind of the control color. White is the color of small creatures. Red is the color of attack. Green is the color of big creatures. And black is the color of death, like destroying creatures or using the graveyard. There's a deck in Magic the Gathering, which usually contains 60 cards or 100, depends on what you're playing. There's a graveyard where the cards that are dead or are used be put into, and then there's the playing field where you have your mana, you have your creatures, and besides creatures, there's different card types. Let's just call them spells for the sake of convenience. You don't really have to understand how the game works, because I'm just wanting to show you these cards. But the last part that I think is kind of important is on the top right corner of the card. You see the mana cost. There's like a dot there which has one of these 5 colors, which means you have to use a mana of this color or maybe 2 mana of this color. And then there's oftentimes a number next to it, which means you can use any kind of mana to cast this. For example, on this card, you see 1 black dot with a 2 next to it, which means you have to tap 3 lands to cast it, and one of them has to be black. And this is basically all I think I need to say right now. If you want to see more about the rules of Magic the Gathering, I'll be putting some links in the description and maybe some cards on here. But let's go and look at the cards. So before we go into the cards, I quickly want to tell you what you see here. This is what's called a playmat, which you use in basically every trading card game. You have a place for your deck, then there's a place for your graveyard, your lands go here, down there, and the creatures and artifacts and stuff like that go here somewhere in the middle. And if you're asking, yes, this is the only true king of Westeros. And before you come at me with pitchforks and stuff like that, I'm talking book Stannis here, so he hasn't committed the most controversial action he did in the series. And I know that George said it's what book Stannis will do, but until I read this, Stannis is the only true king of Westeros. And I just noticed that I didn't really tell you at the beginning of the video what a secret lair is, so I'm going to do this now. So usually you're buying Magic the Gathering cards in booster packs, which contain, I think, 15 cards, and you don't know which cards you get. You only know that you get at least 1 rare card, you get a lot of common cards, you get a land. And with this secret lair, Wizards of the Coast did something where you can buy specific cards with special artwork, and it mostly has a very, very limited supply. So I already do know what cards are in here. It's actually easier for me to talk about them because they're in Japanese, and I hope I get the cards right. And what's kind of cool about this secret lair is that all cards have the color identity of black. So they're all black cards, which with its death and zombie theme and stuff like that, it really fits to Junji Ito. So let's go and open this pack. So what you see here is you see the seal, which means that the cards, that the secret lair hasn't been open. I bought the secret lair secondhand because I wasn't fast enough to get it directly from Wizards of the Coast. And it's nice to see that you don't just get the cards, but you get the unopened secret lair pack. So the first thing I see here is a thank you card, which is kind of nice. I mean, I spent money for that, and I want them to make more secret lairs. So this is a nice thank you. And this is the pack of the cards. I'm really excited to open this. So this is the first card, and just look at the detail. It really looks very, very nice. It's called Carrion Feeder. If I recall this correctly, it's a zombie, which costs 1 black mana. It has a power of 1 and a toughness of 1. And I believe it says Carrion Feeder can block, and you can sacrifice another creature to put a 1/1 count +1/+1 counter on Carrion Feeder. And what makes this card special is so it's usually used in sacrifice decks that use creatures that either very, very cheap creatures that do nothing when they die but trigger effects of other cards, or cards that trigger when they die. And this is a card that's mostly used in EDH or Commander, which is a casual format of Magic the Gathering, but it's seen some play in modern decks, which are called Aristocrats decks. But I think the card looks really, really good. I think Junji Ito has a really nice way to do zombies, and I think this card just looks awesome. So the second card we see here is called Doomsday, and I instantly like the artwork. I don't think it's directly from Remina, but it looks very, very much like Remina with the planet coming next to the Earth, but I don't remember if it had dragons and stuff like that. But yeah, I really do like the artwork, and I actually really like Doomsday as a card. Doomsday is a sorcery, which means you can only cast it on your turn, and it costs 3 black mana, which is a huge investment. And it says, search your graveyard and library for 5 cards. Put those cards in on your deck in any order. Exile all the other cards. So the exile is a place in the game which you basically can't interact with. It's not like the graveyard where you can like revive creatures or stuff like that. There's only a handful of cards which can interact with the exile, so they're basically gone. Oh, and the last part of this card is that you lose half your life, rounded up, I believe. So you can cast it when you have 2 life left. This card is used mostly in Legacy, which is a format where basically all Magic the Gathering cards are allowed, besides a few cards on a ban list. And then it's used in EDH or like competitive EDH. And what you want to do with this card is that you mostly find cards that either draw cards or protect what you want to do. And one of those cards has to be like your win condition. There's cards called Laboratory Maniac or Thassa's Oracle, which basically win you the game when you have no cards left in your library. And I think that's a very exciting way to win a game. It's very all in, because if your opponent interacts with you, you basically can't win the game anymore. So it's a very interesting card and super great artwork. So the third card we see here, oh man, I already like this artwork, like this demon, zombie, creature, woman thing. It looks awesome with other bite marks on it. It looks like it has bite marks or some kind of blisters or something on it. The card is called Playcrafter, which is a carrier, I believe. It costs 2 generic mana and 1 black, and it has a power of 3 and a toughness of 2. And it basically says that if it enters the battlefield, you can choose a creature type. And creatures of the chosen type my opponent's control get -1/-1. So this is a card which is mostly used against tribal decks, like there's elves decks, there's zombie decks, there's goblin decks, and creature decks almost always make use of very, very small creatures. And this -1/-1 hits very, very hard. I don't think it sees that much play. It always depends on how strong creatures are in the meta game. It's mostly a sideboard card. Like usually a match of Magic is best 2 out of 3. And after the first game, you can switch cards from your sideboard to your main deck. And this is one of those cards which you use when you play against creature decks. And the last card we have here is my favorite Magic the Gathering card of all time. And I already like the artwork, like this skeleton, a ghost thing, evaporating, and the card is called Thoughtseize. It's a sorcery for 1 black mana, and it says target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. The opponent discards this card, and you lose 2 life. So this is a card which is usually used in either or mostly in aggressive decks, or let's say mid-range decks, which try to rip your opponent's hand apart. It's sometimes used in combo decks if you want to protect your combo, the turn you want to play your combo, you also play this card to see if you can get through with your combo. And I really do like this card. I think I have all printings of the card because I love it so much. And I really do like the artwork. What's more is there to say? I don't know. And then there's like a foil card in there. I think all secret lairs have a random foil in them. This is a sliver card, which you usually put into sliver decks. But I don't think I will play with this card. But I definitely will play with all the other cards. I hope you enjoyed this little extra part of the video. And see you next time. Goodbye.